All righty then. Katie, thanks for fixing that. Huh? I'm working it.
There we are.
Hey, we got her all taken care of. So we're broadcasting live
Awesome.
on YouTube. Hey, Steve. As in Steve Olson.
There we go. Good morning.
That'd be Steve East.
Easter. Hey, did you guys have snow yesterday?
We did not, but Western North Dakota is having it right now. They're talking 7 to 8 inches today.
Oh, good Lord.
We're talking anywhere from 1.5 to 4 inches of rain. So,
oh my,
Dang.
at that time of year.
yeah, they just started sugar beet harvest in earnest here Monday. Outside of the guys that were allowed to do a little early harvesting, they're going like crazy now, and now they'll have to have tractors pulling the diggers through the field. So it'll be interesting.
Oh, because the soil gets softened up by the snow, and then it makes it.
Yeah, the rain will just cause all kinds of problems. So,
Oh, wow.
those guys will want to get it out as fast as possible.
Yeah, I'll bet they are. like the farmers around down here, it's been raining like every other day now for about a week, and it really screws up getting the corn in. And the is ready to go, I think.
Yeah. A bunch of my buddies around here just got done with their soybean harvest, so that's all good. And the corn can wait just a little while yet too, so. But I'm sure they're ready to take it out.
So Carl, is Sarge down by your feet?
I'm in the office.
Oh, what the heck? Well,
Today's
yeah.
Wednesday.
Question still stands. Is Sarge by your feet?
No, can't come into the office.
Ah. I used to bring Cooper in on Fridays. He had his bed there in the corner and he'd curl up there.
Oh, I'd love to. All right, stupid. There we go. Steve Dirksen, for your information, John Butler, Thomas, and Greg will not be on. That's all I've heard from.
All right. Well, we still should have a quorum then.
Yep. I think we'll be all right.
Steve, are you running the meeting?
I don't think so.
No,
Oh, okay.
no, not that I'm aware of.
Not that I'm aware of. I've not received an email or anything saying such, so.
Okay, well, hey, just to give you a heads up, when we get to Savannah, I was the team lead, but Jason Bonney,
Yep.
Who just became a team leader, that was his checkout site visit. And so with the permission of the department, I've asked him if he'll present the agency to you guys.
That'd be good. I was wondering if that was going to happen or not. So I'm glad to see that. So.
Yeah, I was talking with him yesterday. So you're just throwing me in the deep end, right? I said, yep, play away, buddy. I'll do a very brief introduction just to explain what's going on, and then he'll take over and away we'll go.
Oh, that's good. I had some noisy people outside my door here. I had to shut it.
I remember those days.
Could have been like last Friday and I didn't have anybody up here. I was the only chief working.
Really?
And I should have been fishing because my dad and my brother were, and they were catching all the fish. So.
Oh, do you want me to, use a little violin, playing My Heart
No.
Bleeds for you?
Ow.
on that one?
I went the day before.
Oh.
And I didn't do very well, but that was all right.
Kind of like your golf game.
Really? You want to go there?
Really? Pretty early in that, aren't we?
Well, yeah.
Since I'm going to be out of reach on Sunday, Carl, you think the Packers are going to win or what?
Well, of course they are.
Well, he says with conviction.
They get a new kicker yet?
No, he'll be on Mark. No worries.
What happened? I don't pay attention to it. I honestly don't. Aaron Rodgers, is he playing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yep, he's doing fine.
Okay. All right. Then I retract my question, because now I know the answer.
Morning, all.
Morning, Jim.
Morning.
Morning. Should be safe for your arrival next week, Carl. We had 3 inches of snow last night, so everybody learned how to drive again on the ice. So you got to be safe.
Yeah, if you need a big melt, feel free to get rid of the white stuff before I get there. I'm perfectly fine not ever seeing it again.
Two
Yeah,
words: snow chains.
Interstate 70 was a mess last night.
I believe that.
Had over 70 crashes here in this little corridor.
Wow.
It seems like the first snow is always where people forget how to drive in snow.
Yeah, you can't take the exits at 65.
No, it's a little bit slick. Good morning, Steve. How are you?
Which Steve? Good morning,
You.
everyone. I'm assuming we've got, we'll probably have too many Steves on this meeting, but that's all right. Good to see you, Jim, and sorry to hear about all the crashes. I'm assuming you've had some snow.
Yeah, we had a little bit over the weekend, and we had about 4 inches last night. So
Wow.
the roadways and the pavement, the earth and everything is still warm. So you know what happens. You have ice
Yeah.
under really, really quick.
Yeah, we had a dusting on, I think it was Sunday, but nothing. But I think it was maybe Ken made the point of how people here will have forgotten how to drive over the summer, and the first snowfall will be. We'll see lots of wrecks as well. Especially, we have new Canadians as well who perhaps have come from warmer places and may not have seen a lot of snow in their lives, and that's another challenge as well.
Hey, Steve North, by the way, I seen in the paper today that the U.S. is going to open their border to you all for vaccinated people, so you'll be able to move along down here.
Yeah, so I think they're talking about November. I'm not sure when in November, but you're absolutely right. That was breaking news yesterday, and I was also able to confirm that my health insurance is currently covering COVID illness in the US. So I'll be looking at whether I can make some arrangements quickly to be there for the multi-step meetings for sure.
That'd be great. Two more commissioners and we're golden.
Yeah, I think, did you see any other apologies, Carl, other than Thomas?
Yeah, so John Butler has got a conflict that just popped up. And so he won't be on, and Greg Moriguchi, the new commissioner for DOD, is not going to be able to. He had a prior commitment.
Okay. That should still leave us good though, right?
Yep, we should be okay. Hey, Jake.
Yep.
Good morning. How are you?
Good.
Morning, Jake.
Good morning.
How's things in Arizona? Warm, no snow, those kind of things.
A little chilly. It's about 75 here. I'm
Cry me a river.
Hey, we're going down to 5 degrees here tonight. So
I had to break out a beanie this morning. It was a little chilly this morning, so a little frost on the windows. It's dangerous weather here. Dangerous hypothermia.
Can understand and feel your pain. Hey, I told you I was coming in for the Arizona meeting, right?
Yes, and I will be down there. Are you staying down the night before, I assume?
Yeah, I'll be in the night before. I'm staying out at the airport, so
Okay.
I'll be out there.
You're gonna fly Southwest, Carl? Are you there?
Well, yeah, I always fly Southwest.
After their 5,000 flights canceled since Friday.
If it ain't them, it's somebody else. So I'm all good. I have faith.
I'm supposed to go to Pensacola on Southwest next week, so maybe.
Pensacola. Southwest flies into Pensacola?
I got to hit Dallas and Pensacola.
Huh. Last time I went to Pensacola, I had to take a different airline because they didn't fly in there. I must have just changed.
Well, they might be changing next week, so I don't know.
Yeah. Just to let everybody know, we are broadcasting live. So we haven't started recording yet, but we are broadcasting live.
So it looked like the agenda changed a few times there, Carl. I kept printing one off, and then you could almost guarantee within a few hours there'd be a different one. But
yeah, Cindy keeps it hyper up to date as she receives the information. So that way your guys' stuff, at the end of the day is your information, a name change here and there, the agency's still going to introduce themselves. So, if there's a name that's not correct, that's okay for that purpose. But yeah, she keeps her up to date really well.
That's really good. No, I appreciate that. It's just, and anyway, it's all good. It was sure good to see most of you. It seems like a long time ago already, but recently, for the first time in so long.
Yeah, that was a good visit.
Yeah, we missed you, Jake and Jim, but that's okay. We still had fun.
I'm sure you did.
We're glad you had fun.
My bank account said I had fun.
How was golf?
Yeah, some of us played well, some of us didn't.
I'm gonna. That's not a direct jab, Steve. I'm sure. Huh.
I was picking on myself. I was not playing well at all.
Morning, Sal.
Hello, everyone. How's everybody doing?
Good, thank you.
Doing good. Good morning.
We did have some really good meetings though in Orlando, and got a lot of good work done as well. And approval of the new ACR and other issues there. So it was all good. It was good to get the reports from the board too, to see where everything was at. So.
And the team leaders symposium was excellent as well. I thought the panel was really good. So yeah, it was a good set of meetings for sure.
Okay, I am down one commissioner for a quorum. Hoping that, there's Jesse. We just got picked up number 6.
There we go. Morning, Jesse.
She's not connected quite yet.
Is Ken Holland jumping on today, or?
I didn't hear anything to say he wasn't. So
that's what I thought too, but that's.
Jesse, are you connected?
I'm connected.
Awesome. All right, we have a quorum and we're able to get this thing rolling if you would like to.
Sure. Let's go. Let's get going here, Carl, for sure. Thank you.
All right. Katie, if you let him in for Quantico Fire and Emergency Services, please.
All right, and in connecting, there's a phone number. I'm not sure if that's with them too. So Quantico, can you hear us?
Quantico, I see you're muted.
Can you hear us now?
Yes, sir, but there's some background noise if music or something.
Did you guys dial in also?
We tried to, yeah.
Okay, you can go ahead and hang that up. This works just fine.
Okay. Can you tell? Yeah.
All right, you're good to go.
All right, Mike Higgins, you set?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right, Chief Dongworth, all yours.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Carl. I appreciate that. So welcome everyone to the October CFAI virtual hearings. We're hearing from 7 agencies today, I believe, if my math is correct. And as always, though, before we start, I'd like to recognize the volunteers who make this whole process work. We have our peer assessors, technical reviewers, other volunteers, the team members, team leaders, the commissioners. There are literally tens of thousands of hours of volunteer time that go into making all of this work. So I want to say how much I appreciate that, and hope some of the people are online to hear this today. Also want to remind people that we are recording these hearings so that everyone's aware, and also we're casting these hearings to YouTube. So without further ado, again, welcome. Our first agency up today is Quantico Fire and Emergency Services, Quantico, Virginia, your second accreditation. And with that said, I will hand over to Team Leader Mike Higgins.
All right, I appreciate it. First of all, I want to thank give us the opportunity to come to Quantico and to be the team leader as well. I believe present today is the acting chief, Ben Money, accreditation manager, Mike Becerra. I'll let the chief introduce the remainder of his team who is present with him today. When the team conducted their site visit, it was a hybrid visit. We had one that was virtual. The rest of the team was on site. That was August 30th through September 3rd. The team was comprised of Brian Burrow from Iowa, Barry Sugar from Pennsylvania, Robert Bartek, Wisconsin. Carl Risto was an observer, and then myself from Georgia. The department was very responsive to all of our comments, and they were very receptive to the recommendations that we left. The team left the agency with 20 recommendations. They have accepted and or implemented all of the recommendations since our site visit. And the peer team is recommending accredited agency status to Quantico Fire and Emergency Services Department. With that, I'll turn it over to the chief for his remarks.
All right. So
They're having some audio issues, so they're going to dial in right now.
Okay.
Can you hear us now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. We're back on. We didn't copy any of the questions.
No questions as of yet. Mike Higgins just introduced what the team recommendation was. Chief, if you want to go ahead and introduce your team, and if you have any opening comments, and then the commission will go for questions at that point.
Okay, sir. Good afternoon. My name is Ben Money. I'm currently the acting fire chief here at Quantico. Team lead, our accreditation manager, is Lieutenant Mike Becerra. His assistant is firefighter Mark Blake. And on hand, we have our security battalion commander, Lieutenant Colonel Rainey. On behalf of the department, I would like to thank you for giving us the opportunity to become reaccredited for our second go around. The team did an excellent job. They provided us a lot of feedback, gave us some good recommendations, and helped us get through this process. and we appreciate that opportunity.
Thanks very much for those introductions. Is there anyone else who wants to introduce themselves on the team before we go over to questions from Commission? Not hearing any. Sorry, go ahead.
Nobody else, sir.
Thank you very much. Just wanted to make sure we didn't cut anyone off, so I appreciate that, Chief. Let's take our first question from Commission from Commissioner Keating. Chief Keating.
Thank you, and good morning, Quantico. Congratulations on your second time around the block, and probably you have felt it like the most of us that have been through it a few times. It seems to even get a little bit harder, but we learn a little bit more. Both of my questions are going to be in Category 8, and they both deal with your training aids. One of them being the training simulator for Class A fires, and then the other one, the flashover simulator. From what was in the report, it would indicate that there was question about the validity and the safety of both of those items. Have you made any progress towards correcting that?
Yes, sir. Our primary Class A burn building, we had one room refinished last year with lifetime panels and doors, and the other part of the building is suitable, but we had an OSHA issue with cutting tiles through facilities. That has since been corrected. We are in the process with our facilities personnel, who actually are the ones who will replace the other broken panels in the rest of the rooms. But that building and that one room has been completely refurbished. We are requested funding to do the whole building, but that is tenable. Our Class A flashover simulator, we are currently evaluating our need for that building and whether or not we want to pursue getting it re-inspected under the 1402.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that, and appreciate the quick follow-up. Those are definitively a safety item. Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks, Chief Keating. Chief Rhodes, are you ready to go?
Yes, sir. It looks like in Category 2, you have a few recommendations, but a couple intertwine. And I just kind of want to see where you are because they seem easy to address. One of those is you do an occupancy vulnerability assessment profile to determine risk, but you don't adjust your emergency response. And it also looks like, kind of in conjunction with that, you need to define your process, your methodology, and kind of where you are with that moving forward.
Sir, you cut out on the second part after the OVAP.
I'm sorry, I just got the stream was slow, so I apologize. The second part is to deal with your critical tasking, which also is something to address. Can you tell me kind of where you are in both of those and kind of your methodology or thoughts moving forward on those?
Yes, sir. So right now we are part of a regional response, multi-jurisdictional in the entire Northern Virginia region. So our response to occupancy call type mirrors our surrounding mutual aid jurisdictions for continuity of operations. Internally, after the assessment team came in and we discussed our FDZs, we are readdressing how our FDZs are laid out to better handle that response. But our GIS people are currently in a revision cycle with their updated equipment, and that won't be till mid-November till we can get some better mapping to start looking at how we are responding to calls based upon what we actually need based upon the mutual aid jurisdictions.
So just one quick follow-up. I assume your run cards, your response model is determined mutually in conjunction with all your partners?
Yes, sir. We actually mirror everyone around us for 5 different jurisdictions.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Chief Rhodes. Let's go with Chief Dirksen.
Good morning, and thanks for being here. Thanks for sticking through the first 5 years and coming back for an opportunity again. My question goes to Category 3, specifically Performance Indicator 3C2, regarding your goals and objectives and implementation there. Who's responsible? Have you made an assignment on people being responsible to see that those goals and objectives are carried out?
Mike, you want to hit that one?
Yes, we have. We understood that we kind of did not, as far as assigning the goals and objectives, put that time critical as far as the short-term, long-term, medium-term goals. We have since gone back and then looked at the categories which those goals and objectives have related to, and then assign the leadership among others in those categories to take care of those goals and objectives. So as far as assigning and putting a time frame, a time stamp on them, we've done so already. And then obviously with these recommendations, a lot of these recommendations are going to be implemented into our most recent goals and objectives on a reoccurring basis. That way we can, once we get our goals and objectives and then add these to them, we can.
Sir, if I may, right now we are in a big leadership turnover. We have an onboarding fire chief. I'm currently processing out, and we just lost our prevention chief in the past 2 weeks. So leadership-wise, we're kind of on pause for that part of it as we wait till we get all these new people on board.
Sure. And then do you have an identified process of when they'll report out and how often that you're going to call for that to be discussed?
So for the goals and objectives, we are at least on a biannual time frame as far as an update, what they need, a needs assessment as far as where they started, where they're at now. So we are going to revisit each goal and objective on a biannual basis every 6 months to see what that is and see how we're progressing, or if there needs to be a change in that goal and or objective to fit our needs.
Great, that sounds good. And it sounds like your organization is like most everybody else. The only thing constant is change. So very good. Thanks.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Chief Dirksen. Sal, are you ready to go with your question?
I am. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. And again, thank you for being here today. And we appreciate your efforts and your time commitments towards this accreditation, especially the second time around. My question that I'm addressing is in the water supply criterion 9A. There was a comment about the no formalized annual evaluation of the reliability of the water system and not using some of the practices for flow testing requirements. So my question is, what going forward, do you have plans in the inspection, testing, and maintenance of the hydrant system on your facilities and determining adequacy of supply based on your hydrant or water supply system?
Sure, we're done there.
Okay. So right now what it is we have actually created a working SOG for hydrant testing, not for the purposes of testing because it relies on the facility of the base to do the water supply testing.
Mm-hmm.
However, we are unreliable on them due to manpower and staffing in their office. So we have intended to flow test with our new SOG and flow test them at least annually. So we have situational awareness on what does and doesn't work, and then try to provide our information to them for action.
And in your pre-planning process, does that take into account at least some of your higher flow requirements in areas where you do have adequacy or that you know of are adequate for those areas?
Based on our OVAP scores that we've created or deduced from our inspections, we have those buildings identified as far as the gallons per minute required, which and then based upon the flow tests that have been done on our side and then also on facility side, we validated that we do in fact have the GPMs necessary for our higher occupancy, higher demand GPM buildings. So we have that all documented. It's just kind of updating that and more the maintenance portion of maintaining the hydrants.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Jesse, I think you have a question.
I do. Thank you. Good afternoon. My question is in category 2 One of the recommendations is to reevaluate your current fire demand zones and look at the feasibility of subdividing those into more manageable areas. Have you started on that recommendation? And if you have, where are you with that?
Yes, ma'am. That was and earlier we talked about what we did initially was we grouped all of the like things together, and that fell into a bunch of other categories. So when we reached out to our GIS personnel who are currently in a revision, so we're looking at our map and our current run data from last year that was provided, heat mapping from our headquarters. We're looking at that, but our GIS personnel currently don't have the ability to run us additional maps. So we're kind of informally breaking them down without the GIS data to give us the run times so we can look at that in relationship to our heat mapping.
Do you think that you'll have the GIS component worked out soon, or are you just going to go without that component?
We're hoping we have some ability, but their system is not going to be updated complete until mid to late November. So right now we're just kind of redrawing the lines based upon our populated areas that we know of, but we're waiting for them to give us that overlay.
Yeah, we'll be fully functional with GIS once their update is done. Like Chief said, mid-November, and then we've already met with the folks over at GIS, explained the situations, asked them, told them what we want to do based on run times, travel times, and then the heat mapping like we talked about. Overall, our fire demand zones now are pretty large. And through the site team, we definitely realized that we need to shrink those down some to get some more accurate data based on those specific areas due to occupation or occupancies instead of having a large kind of encompassing fire demand zone. So we're going to take those larger fire demand zones to break those down into more bite-sized pieces, if you will, so we can run kind of more relevant data for those specific areas.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I'm not seeing any other questions from commission. Certainly hearing you're in a kind of leadership turnover time right now, and also it looks like reading the report, you have some challenges maintaining some of your staffing levels, but nothing that isn't going to change the team's recommendation that you be accredited. So can I get someone to make a motion to approve Quantico for their second accreditation, please?
Keating, motion.
Thanks, Jim. Can I get someone to second, please?
Rhodes, a second.
Thank you, Jake. Jake has seconded that. Any further discussion? Not hearing any. Any opposed? Congratulations, Quantico Fire and Emergency Services, on your second accreditation. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up will be Cherry Hill. Cindy made a last minute change recently because the assistant chief let us know that he'll be filling in for the fire chief who had a death in the family. So be entertaining that, obviously.
All right, I think they're all in and connecting right now.
All right.
I can turn it up 1 second, sir. The sound bar, I think. Yes, sir.
Good morning, Cherry Hill.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hopefully you can all hear us. So that's fantastic.
Yes, sir.
We certainly got the message that the fire chief isn't available today. The assistant chief is covering due to a death in his family. Certainly, we would send our best wishes and thoughts to the chief. Welcome to our October virtual hearings. And without further ado, if I may, I'll hand over to team leader Steve Lambert to start the introductions.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. I'm Stephen Lambert. I am here today representing Cherry Hill Fire Department, New Jersey. Before we get started, I would like to offer my sincere condolences to the Chief Callan and his family for the untimely death of his father, Robert Callan. As you stated, Chief Kenneth Baum will be leading the team. They are here today seeking their second accreditation. This is a township that is 24.24 miles square, is located in northern Camden County. It is the largest municipality in the county and the 13th largest in the state of New Jersey. This is a department that consists of 139 uniformed personnel staffing 4 engines, 2 ladders, and 1 battalion chief, and 3 24-hour BLS ambulances and 2 power shift BLS ambulances at 6 different stations. All fire suppression vehicles are staffed with a minimum of 1 officer and 2 firefighters and equipped to provide basic life support services. All ambulances are staffed with 2 emergency medical technicians. This department operates with a minimum of 19 fire suppression personnel and 6 EMS personnel on duty each day. Peak demand BLS units increased the staffing to 8 EMS personnel from 0900 to 2100 hours, 7 days a week, and 10 EMS personnel Monday through Friday, 0700 to 1900 hours when staffing permits. This is a Class 1 ISO department. The department should be recognized for implementing an emergency transport algorithm that was recognized by the state of New Jersey as a best practice. The state formalized this practice by adopting an EMS vehicle operation safety guideline modeled after this algorithm. Also, the Cherry Hill Fire Department was the first department in New Jersey to develop and implement an organized active shooter response plan with the local police department. Our site visit occurred on the week of August 30th to September 2nd, 2021. During our review of the documents and follow-up site visit, the team came together with a total of 5 strategic and 11 specific recommendations. All these recommendations can be found in the report that you have. The agency has accepted all of these recommendations. They have completed 1 of the strategic and 2 of the specific. While on the site visit, the team was able to validate the agency's response data and risk management. The entire team would like to recommend that Cherry Hill Fire Department receive their second accreditation. At this time, I'd like to thank the members of my team for all their hard work. They were retired Deputy Chief Kyle Fansler from Columbia Fire Department, Missouri, Captain Spencer Lee from the Apex Fire Department, North Carolina, and Fire Chief Scott Alderman from Colonelsville Fire Department, North Carolina. This time, Chief Baum, proceed forward.
Thank you, Chief Lambert. I appreciate it. Good afternoon. My name is Ken Baum. I'm the Assistant Fire Chief. First of all, Chief Callan, as we said, he regrets he's not able to be here due to the passing of his family member, and our hearts and condolences do go out to him and his family at this time. I would like to first of all, thank Chief Lambert for his assessment team. When they came to visit us, they provided guidance and support. They were very professional in how we interacted with each other as we shared with them the operations of our department. I would like to also thank the Board of Fire Commissioners, the Accreditation Manager, Jason Houck, Executive Assistant Betsy Rontry, and the members of the Cherry Hill Fire Department that did a tremendous job in bringing us to this point. I would also like to provide a quick overview of our department. Our department was established in 1994 with 6 independent fire districts that we consolidated into 1 department. And since that time, we've become a department, it's all hazards department that provides fire EMS technical rescue, hazardous materials, as well as we've established ourselves as an ISO Class 1 department. So we're very proud of that. We are seeking our second accreditation. We received our first accreditation in 2016, and we continue to embrace that accreditation process since that time period. As you know, this is a difficult but very rewarding process. And I think anything that we do that's difficult is worth doing. And many departments are reluctant in that. But there's 5 reasons why we decided to go with the accreditation process. First of all, we wanted to measure our performance against industry best standards. That was important to us. We also want to increase our knowledge of how to better lead our organization and to really humble ourselves and look at what our strengths and weaknesses are. And accreditation allowed for us to do that. To put ourselves out there under the scrutiny of others allows for us to become a better community, allows for us to focus on improvement. This process has assisted us in setting a course for our future, for having us set our standards that govern our strategic plan. Since 2016, we've found that our ERF has, we've exceeded it, and we're finding that we need to make it a little bit more stringent. And that shows that accreditation works for us, and we provide a better service to our organization. Since our peer assessment on September the 2nd, we have successfully completed 3 of the 16 recommendations. They're items number 7, 10, and 13. And in the future months, we will continue to be diligent in accomplishing the rest of those recommendations. At this time, I would like to introduce the team that we have that we've worked together. To my left is Battalion Chief Jason Houck. He's the accreditation manager. Behind him is Principal Staff Assistant Thomas Ferrantini and Chief Financial Officer John Foley. Also behind them is IFF President 3198, Battalion Chief Brett DeLuca, and IFF President of 2663, Dennis D'Alessandro. To my right is Assistant Fire Chief Wade Houlihan. Behind him is Chief Fire Marshal Joe Cornforth and Board of Fire Commissioner Treasurer William Kelly. Behind him is GIS Analyst John Hainsworth, and to his right is Executive Assistant Betsy Rountree. And also on Zoom is Board of Fire Commissioner President Sarah Lipset. So we look forward at this point to be able to address any of your questions and comments and concerns.
Thank you, Chief, for that introduction, and it's great to see so many of your team here today. That's very impressive, and thank you also to the chair of the board, your board of commissioners, for being on the line. I think you have every reason to be proud, as you talked about. Your ISO Class 1 is a great achievement, and coming forward as you are today for your second accreditation, also something to be proud of. And I really liked your rationale, those 5 things you talked about in terms of why you do accreditation, and I think as well why it makes you better, and by extension why or how it makes you serve your community better. Before I hand over to questions, I just want to make one comment, because so often we delve into pieces that are maybe challenges for agencies, but right in your report it talks about how you were having a problem with fires starting on the outside of homes as a result of discarded smokers materials, and how you've actually brought some ordinance into place that limits that combustible ground covering around wood frame buildings. And since that time, you haven't had one of those kind of fires. So I like to highlight innovative, smart thinking kind of practice, and I think that's a great example from you today. Without further ado, though, because I don't want to take too much of the airtime, let's go to Chief Dirksen.
Good morning and welcome to the table, and congratulations on coming through the accreditation process. My question, I'm going to start with the team leader and then probably look to the assistant chief with a follow-up, is regarding a question with performance indicator 2C5. It talks about the benchmark targets have been established. It includes the call handling, turnout, travel time, total response time. But we have a recommendation here to work on this CAD system to improve call processing times. What did you find there, Steve, when you were looking at the data?
What we found was that they didn't really have a good grasp on gathering the call handling times. If you look at it, some of them's 2 minutes it was taking on to process a call and to get it dispatched out. And Chief Newman had said in the past that they've been working with them and trying to get them to do better, but since they're not part of their organization, it's sort of hard for them to get them to do better.
So Chief, then going forward, then how are you planning to tackle this to improve the call processing times? You're really close to a lot of your benchmarks on a number of your categories. And I commend you for looking at this, but what are you hoping to do, or how do you think you can work through that? And what political pressures do you have to make that happen?
I understand your question, and we do take the call handling seriously, and we do recognize that there is deficiencies. First of all, it is a county communication system, so we have to work with an agency outside of us. I think the recommendation to be able to establish a policy that would help us to resolve conflict and have a written agreement that when they're not producing it to the level that we would be able to hold them accountable. I think that is an approach that we have to take also. Next, we are going to continue to hold them accountable in short terms. We do have an Excel spreadsheet that we've developed over the recent year, within the last year, that we are tracking all delays or miscommunications or wherever there's a difficulty, and that would be through our battalion chief's office as well as through the office of the fire chief. Our data analysis, we are constantly looking at that to be able to keep track of them and interact with them. Our fire chief is also the county fire coordinator, and he has the opportunity to meet with the alarm room regularly to hold them accountable, which also, as you alluded to, Chief, to be able to bring some political strength to that as well with holding the position of the county fire coordinator. So I think it's a multi-operational approach that we need to take to be able to resolve this problem. It has gotten better through the year, so we are encouraged with that, but we need to continue to work through that.
No, it sounds like you got a good grasp on it, and the steps that you're laying out provide a good path forward, I believe. So encourage you to keep working with it and get your board chairs and board members to help you with that process.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Chief Dirksen. Jesse.
Good afternoon. The only comment that I wanted to make was I wanted to highlight how strong I thought your category 3 was. I mean, obviously, you know, we read a lot of these reports, and your efforts on the strategic planning of the department, I just wanted to highlight. I was very impressed with how you're tracking your plan and you're holding individuals accountable. So just wanted to highlight that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jesse. Chief Rhodes.
Actually, Steve Dirksen and Jesse addressed both of mine with the communication center and the strategic planning. So thank you. I don't have anything else.
Thank you. Any other questions from commission? I think that's reflective of a really solid report. Actually, there's certainly the one that jumps out is the the communication center challenge, but you've addressed that well, and that's not uncommon. We see a lot of agencies come before us where that is a challenge when you don't have direct control over your destiny as far as communication center. With that, not seeing any other requests for questions, can I ask for a motion to approve?
I would make that motion.
Thank you, Jesse. Second?
Second, Dirksen.
Thanks, Chief Dirksen. Any further discussion on Cherry Hill second accreditation? Not hearing any. Any opposed? Not hearing any. Congratulations, Cherry Hill Fire Department, on your second accreditation. Really, really solid report, as has been reflected by very few questions, and just fantastic work. And thank you as well, Team Leader Lambert. So thank you to everyone, and hopefully we'll be able to get your plaque to you relatively quickly. And it's a shame we're not in person, but that's the reality of our world today. So have a great rest of your day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, guys. Oh, well done.
All right, next up is Temple Terrace, Fire Department, Florida.
They're both in and connecting right now.
All right. How you doing, Mike?
I'm good. Yourself, Carl?
Not bad. Not bad at all. Good afternoon, Temple Terrace. How are we doing?
We're doing good. Excellent.
Awesome. Looks like we're good to go. Chief Dunworth, all yours.
I want to go.
Thanks, Carl. Appreciate. Yeah, that's
going.
great. I appreciate that.
Right there. Back,
Welcome.
back.
Oh,
Right there.
we're doing some adjustments to the video, I think there. That's fine. That's great. You all look great. Thank you for being with us today, Temple Terrace Fire Department, Temple Terrace, Florida. Coming forward for your 4th accreditation, and that's a great achievement. So my congratulations to you for that. I think without further ado, we'll hand over to our team leader, Mike Bell, to start the introductions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, good morning, as your case may be, to you and the members of the commission. It's my great honor today to present to you the Temple Terrace Fire Department. My name is Mike Bell. I'm from Beachwood, Ohio, and I served as the team leader for the in-person site visit that occurred on September 12th to 16th of this year. I would like to first thank the members of the peer assessment team, Jeff Farmer from Henrico County Division of Fire in Virginia, Tom Fagan from Lawrence Douglas County Fire Medical in Kansas, and Dan Kramer from Windcrest Fire Department in Texas for their time and dedication to the process. As you know, much time and effort is required of the volunteers, including the technical reviewers, and I greatly appreciate all their efforts. I would further like to offer a word of thanks to the Temple Terrace Fire Department for their hard work and dedication to the accreditation process. The agency was extremely transparent and welcoming toward the peer assessment team before, during, and after the site visit. The agency was highly responsive and appreciative of team member comments, inputs, and needs. This is the 4th accreditation for the Temple Terrace Fire Department, who also has members that have participated in the peer assessment team program. The peer assessment team developed several recommendations that the agency has already made plans to address in just a few short weeks since the site visit. I'm pleased to convey the recommendation for accredited status from the peer assessment team for the Temple Terrace Fire Department. I would now like to introduce Fire Chief Ian Kemp.
Good morning. Can everybody hear me? Got the head nod. Okay, great.
Yes, sir.
Good morning. My name is Ian Kemp, and I'm the fire chief of the city of Temple Terrace. I've been in the fire service for over 30 years and the fire chief of the city of Temple Terrace for the past 5 years. The city of Temple Terrace Fire Department continues to be committed to the accreditation process. It is our honor and privilege to be in front of you today in pursuit of attaining accreditation. I want to thank the commission for the privilege of sitting before you in this morning's hearing. I specifically want to thank Michael Bell and his peer team for visiting our city. His team was extremely professional during the entire process and were a pleasure to work with. We are excited and proud that they have recommended our agency for accreditation for the 4th time. Thank you to my city manager, Charles Stevenson, and our elected officials for their continued support. A special thanks to our department personnel for embracing the accreditation process. And lastly, I want to express my sincere gratitude to our accreditation manager, Assistant Fire Chief Shane Salmon, and to our entire accreditation team, some of those who sit behind me this morning, for their hard work and dedication they've exhibited over the past 5 years preparing for our agency's hearing today. At this time, I'd like to introduce our Assistant Fire Chief, Shane Salmon, and he's also our accreditation manager.
Hello, my name is Shane Salmon, and I'm the Assistant Fire Chief and the Accreditation Manager for Temple Terrace Fire Department. I want to thank the Commission for the opportunity to sit in front of you today. For the last 5 years, I've eagerly taken on the role of Accreditation Manager, as I've personally seen the benefits of the accreditation process throughout my career. Within our department, we have a well-established foundation for the accreditation model, and it's my goal to continue to build on that foundation and ensure that we are continually improving as an organization. As an individual who started with our fire department 19 years ago as a firefighter EMT, I can say that the accreditation process is truly embedded within our department. This has produced a fire department culture that is a product of the continual improvement process. As a result, our department has experienced a decrease in response times despite an increase in system demand over the years. We have developed a more professional and goal-oriented atmosphere from the command staff down to the firefighters. We have experienced an improvement in our facilities and resources, and we have enjoyed a more goal-oriented focus on firefighter health and safety. The reason I believe that our fire department has been so successful with the accreditation process throughout the years is because we have a great group of leaders who believe in the process, and they have ensured that the agency improvement is the driving force within our department. In addition, they have made sure that individuals from all levels within our department participate in and contribute to the continual improvement process. To validate this, during our most recent strategic planning process, there were several goals and objectives that were identified, which coincide with the peer team's recommendation. This makes me confident as a fire department that we are leaving no stones unturned in our pursuit of continual improvement. So thank you again for your consideration as we seek accreditation status today.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I assume that's your introductions. So with that, we'll move on to questions from commission. And great to see you all here today. And again, congratulations on coming forward for the fourth time. So that's something to be recognized. Let's go to Chief Rhodes to start, please.
So again, I'd say congratulations. Being here 4 times is always impressive, but a solid report. The one area I kind of want to look at is your public education. There's recommendation that to do a needs assessment for training for all age ranges and other opportunities. So how are you going to go about that? And what's that look like going forward with a smaller staff, it looks like. So what's that look like for you?
Sure. So that program sits under the Division Chief of Risk Reduction, and he's already been made aware that he's going to be assigned with that task. What we talked about and decided when the peer team was here is we recognize that we have a pretty robust public education program. However, it does focus on the elderly citizens and the school age population, and so we've realized there's probably a gap in that kind of middle range there. And so I think that's where a good evaluation and analysis of the program to see where we can improve and where we can benefit from some modifications to that program will really help out.
Well, good. Just hitting those 2 risk categories is something, but be able to look at it from all angles, it's something to be committed. That's good. Good look. Thank you.
We agree.
Thanks, Chief Rhodes. Chief Keating.
Thank you. And I want to congratulate the Deputy Chief on his really solid words. It's why we all do this and continue to do it. Being your 4th time around and listening to what you had to say tells me that you guys are 100% committed, and that's what this is all about. And I'm sure over time, being there 20 years, you've watched what the first accreditation did and how it has grown your department to become even more solid. Just a couple of comments. Knowing an organization your size, you had indicated you're going to put another medic unit into service actually this month. Are you going to be successful in doing that?
So absolutely. We've already secured those 3 people. We needed 3 people in order to facilitate that additional medic unit. They actually finished orientation this Friday. And so we've been staffing that rescue with during peak hours with overtime. And starting Monday, that unit will be in service full time with those 3 additional people.
Congratulations on staying on that. And like I said, an organization your size, it's not easy to put another unit into service, but it's obviously showing your dedication to serving your public. And one last comment, there was a note in there that you were going to begin an evaluation process about having your gear and workout areas in the bays as far as the cancer risks. Anything on that horizon?
Absolutely. And, I think as an organization, we really have a passion about cancer prevention, and we've made some quite a few efforts, including a clean cab initiative and some post-incident decon, gross decon. And so that one more step in isolating that turnout gear on the bay floor and the workout equipment is one more step that we want to take in that direction. We have allocated funding this fiscal year's budget, which ours starts in October, to do a bay floors. And so in that complete renovation, we would like to enclose the workout area so that it's not exposed to those elements. And then we have some open storage area that we're going to enclose, which will help to protect that turnout gear that does currently sit out on the bay floor.
Thank you. And it's really great to hear that you've put a lot of attention to that up front. So again, thanks and congratulations for your fourth time around.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief Keating. Ken Holland, I think you have a question.
I do. Thank you, and welcome to the hearing. So the one of my questions was already asked, which is kind of cool, and it was good to hear your answer with regards to the storage of your PPE and the workout areas and the apparatus bays. So good job with that. The other question I wanted to ask or get maybe a little bit more from is there's a couple of recommendations, specifically recommendation 6 and recommendation 11 that talk about staffing and workforce. Specifically 6 talks about a shift commander officer position, getting that position staffed, and then 11 talks about your current staffing level in the training section, if it's adequate. I was wondering if you could speak to any progress made on both of those recommendations there.
Absolutely. And so with both of those recommendations and what we found with a few of the recommendations, like I had mentioned during my introduction, is, we've recognized a few of these opportunities for improvement. And so we've been looking at a few of these things already, and both of those ones specifically that you're talking about are both identified in our strategic plan. That strategic plan is we really focus on bringing in a good cross section of the department who help us develop those strategic plan goals and objectives. And so within that, we've developed and identified those shortfalls or opportunities for improvement. Both of those, I think both of them have financial hurdles that we have to address. And we're certainly working on that. It doesn't always happen as quickly as we'd like it to, but there are some mitigations or stopgaps that we can kind of do in the meantime. With that, our training officer, and this is identified in our strategic plan, is going to develop a core group of individuals who are really who are qualified and talented in the training spectrum, and they're going to assist him with those providing training to the shift personnel. That's one of the avenues that we're going to pursue. And then with the on shift commander, that's another area that we'd really like to see come to fruition. The financial portion of it is the biggest hurdle that surrounds that, but there are certainly things that we can do to maybe look at modifying work schedules that with our current command staff and potentially operationalize solutions. But at this time, it's really a financial hurdle for us.
Mm-hmm. Understood, and thank you for that. One thing I did want to ask, and I didn't notice if I didn't see it in the report, maybe I missed it, but do you guys have a dedicated health and safety officer or a dedicated incident safety officer?
We do. It's our training captain. He happens to be sitting here in the room, and he is our dedicated health and safety officer, and he actually is the health and safety officer for the entire city as well.
Awesome, great, thank you. And again, if I missed it in the report, I do apologize, but I wanted to ask that, and having that, that should be recognized. So, but great report, and thank you very much for answering the questions.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ken. Chief Dirksen, I think you have a question.
Yes, I do. Good morning and welcome to the table. The question I have centers around performance indicator 5E1, and where the recommendation is that you evaluate your air monitoring policy and practices following a fire incident. And I'm imagining that you maybe indicated in there that you monitor for carbon monoxide and hydrogen cyanide. And it says in the report that you don't have that capability to do those things. I'm wondering what your process is and how you're going to rectify that going forward.
Sure. So that was one of them that we jumped on almost immediately when the peer team was even here, and the week or two after that. So we've modified that SOG so that our practices are following the best industry standards. We've looked at our surrounding jurisdictions to kind of look to see what are they doing, where we could help to improve our current SOG. We don't have the capability to monitor for hydrogen cyanide right now, but what we can do is change our policy until we do have that capability. And so we've done that by requiring all of our personnel to remain in PPE until overhaul is complete. In addition to that, what we've done is we've got with our vendors, and currently we use the MSA Altair 4X, which does not have the capability for hydrogen cyanide monitoring. The 5X version does allow that to happen. And so we've gotten a quote to look at purchasing one of those for each of our frontline fire apparatus.
Great. I'm glad to see that you've adjusted your policy to reflect your capabilities. And I think that's a good move to keep people in PPE if you don't have the ability to monitor the air. And I'm glad to see that you're looking at upgrading your equipment for the safety of your firefighters. Thanks.
Thanks, Chief Dirks. And actually, I would jump on that because I was going to ask a question on that as well, Steve. But I would encourage one of the challenges. We've done a lot of research in our department around exactly this question because of course firefighters want to get out of PPE as soon as they can to do the hard work of overhaul. What we realize though is it's really tough to nail down all the things that threaten their health. You've kind of made a point of hydrogen cyanide and carbon monoxide is mentioned, but I think you'll find there are tens and dozens of substances that may occur during or be present during overhaul that could threaten firefighters' health. And the approach we've taken is exactly what you're doing currently, which is we ensure that our firefighters stay in full PPE SCBA during overhaul up to a period of 24 hours after a fire. And even that can be adjusted based on the amount of ventilation and the amount of product. So I think it's a very interesting thing to take a look at. But thank you for making that change. I was gonna ask a question on the same one. I don't see any other questions. Are there any other questions from commission? Not seeing any. A great report. Fourth time, as we said, that's a heck of an achievement. You're also class 1, I think, since 2014, if I'm not mistaken. So you're obviously performing at a very high level. So congratulations for that. Can I ask for a motion to approve Temple Terrace for their 4th accreditation, please?
Move Dirksen.
I heard Steve Dirksen, and I think Ken. Can I get you to second?
Yes, I'll second it.
Thank you very much. Any further discussion? Not hearing any. Any opposed? Thank you. Congratulations, Temple Terrace Fire Department, Temple Terrace, Florida, on your 4th accreditation. Well done, and we'll make the arrangements to get your plaque to you as soon as possible.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Very well done.
All right, Dubuque, Iowa will be the last one before we break for a few minutes, and then we'll finish up the last 2.
Nope, we have Addison next.
We do have Addison next.
We do.
I scrolled down too far. I'm sorry. Thank you. Addison Fire Department. Fire Protection District is up next. Thank goodness for the team.
You scared me.
What could we do without Katie?
I know. Or Cindy.
How will we manage?
Sometimes Steve Olson too.
Yep. Steve too.
Okay, I think they're all in and connecting right now.
Good morning, Ken.
Good morning. Morning, Chief.
Morning.
So
I guess it's just about afternoon in Illinois, isn't it?
2 minutes to go.
Yeah.
there you go.
I think we're waiting for.
So it looks like we have everyone on board, Carl.
Yep.
It does. It's all yours, Chief.
Perfect. Thanks very much. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. So welcome, Addison Fire Protection District, Addison, Illinois, first accreditation. So you've obviously done a lot of work to get here today. So congratulations on doing that. First of all, we'll ask for some introductions, and then we'll move to questions from commissioners. So with that said, Team Leader Ken Horn, would you like to start the introductions?
Absolutely. Well, good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you're at, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. It's a pleasure to be here today to present the team's findings and recommendations for the Addison Fire Protection District. Our site visit took place on August 29th through September 2nd, 2021. And before I get started with the findings, I would like to recognize the PURE team for all their hard work during the site visit and prior as far as preparation. The team was made up of Fire Chief Don Smart from Little Rock Air Force Base Fire and Emergency Services, Special Projects Manager Sarah Flores, San Antonio Fire Department, and Fire Chief John Greyer from Iowa City Fire Department. Would also like to thank the personnel of the Addison Fire Protection District, and especially to Chief Walker and the accreditation manager, Chief Eric Kramer, for opening up their agency to the team with their generous hospitality while the site visit took place. I would like to also recognize the Addison Fire Protection Board of Trustees and their leadership during the process. During our opening briefings, it should be noted that we had many of the department heads from the village that were present, up and including the Illinois State Representative Kathleen Willis was also there to support the process. During our site visit, the team found an agency that was noticeably excited about the process and were open and responsive to the team's inquiries and any possible recommendations. The team found an agency that has recently implemented many new technologies designed to improve their data capture and analysis, and that includes a new regional CAD system and an updated records management system. Many of the recommendations the team made were kind of centered around these new systems and were meant to improve the agency's ability to utilize them to their fullest potential. It was very apparent that the agency embraced the continuous improvement process and was working hard to become an outcome-driven agency. The team made, in the spirit of continuous improvement, a total of 10 recommendations, which the team felt was a testament to the quality of this agency and their efforts to thoroughly embrace the continuous improvement process. I would like to briefly mention one recommendation, since it's a direct impact on the response data gap analysis that you might see in the report. And that is recommendation number 1 for the outlier policy implemented in order to more accurately analyze their data. And so they didn't have one in place at the time. I believe they have already implemented one, but it did not allow them to remove some of the outliers in their data, which showed up in their the maximum risk fire suppression ERF. You'll notice a large gap, but that was also due to a very small number of fires that fell into that, but it is a noticeable gap that was in there. And the same with technical rescue. I just wanted to kind of bring that up. I would also like to mention something that was exceptional with the agency, which is their EMS or medical loan out program. So through donations, people that have medical equipment, they can donate it back to the fire department. They store it there. And if somebody needs a set of crutches, a wheelchair, anything that might be medically related, they have a loan out program, no cost to the individual. They can take that, and when they're done bring it right back. So we thought that was a pretty innovative program and really kind of highlighted the type of community-based agency that they were. Our team, through consensus, found the agency credible in all the categories and recommends the agency for accredited status. With that, I'd like to pass it on to Chief Walker and Chief Kramer.
Great, thank you. So real quick, I'd just like to make some introductions about who's with us today. And then I'd also kind of give you guys a quick history of how we got to where we are today in front of you. But I'd first like to start out with thanking Ken, Don, John, and Sarah for coming out. You know, kind of an unappreciated by some, maybe, that you got to take time away from their family, their friends, their work, traveling during COVID. We were extremely happy to have an in-person visit. We did not want to do a virtual visit. So I'm glad that really happened out. It was able to happen. So I want to point out who's with us today. We've got Deputy Chief Eric Kramer. You can see on the screen by himself. He's our accreditation manager. And then the other room, we've got several individuals. We've got two of our trustees, our secretary, Charlie Baxa, our treasurer, Bernadette LaRocca. We've got our fire marshal, Mike Toyka. We've got a union board member from our Union 4727, Lieutenant John Sullivan. We've got Lieutenant Steriker. He is our assistant accreditation manager and our accreditation manager in waiting. So we've already got the succession planning in place so we can keep this process going in the future. We have the rest of our command staff, our 3 battalion chiefs, Battalion Chief Harry and Baxa and Mansfield. And then we've got 3 non-Addison Fire District members. We've got Bill Shrema. He's a representative from our dispatch center. And then we have 2 Village of Addison representatives. We've got our city manager, Joe Moranowitz, and the fire chief of Addison, Bill Hayden. And it's just important to point out, we are a separate taxing body. We're our own government agency. So the fact that our city manager from the town that we serve and our police chief have come out to support us. So our journey to accreditation, a little unorthodox. We started over 9 years ago. So 9 years ago, we became a registered agency. I was tasked as a newly appointed deputy chief to be the accreditation manager, hit the ground running, went out and got the training, started getting stuff in place, and they did some changes here. They got rid of a position of financial director. So at the time, I was given the task of a new deputy chief, accreditation manager, and now taking care of all the administration and the finances of the district. So needless to say, accreditation came to a screeching halt. As I struggled to try to get a handle on everything I needed to do, I had a eureka moment. It dawned on me that I just got done doing the training with accreditation, and I turned to the accreditation manuals, to the self-assessment, to the criterion, and I used that to try to do the best job possible in my new job assignments. So that's how we started out. It started out small, stuff like including people, the entire district in our budgeting process, working with the GFOA, getting recognized for our auditing and our budgeting. And that kind of just snowballed over the many, many years we've been working on this. And we took a different approach. We never wanted to do this to get a title or a sticker. We really wanted to use it to make ourselves better. And in the process, we realized that we were a good department, but we really couldn't prove it. And a lot of the stuff that we felt we were good at, we just left and said we were good, and we never really went back and looked at it and to reevaluate to see if we're actually doing what we should be doing, if there's a better way of doing it. So fast forward now till about 3 years ago, I became the chief. Deputy Chief Eric Kramer became a deputy chief. He took over the role of accreditation manager. We had a lot of little pieces that were ready to go. We still had a couple of big ones to tackle. Our records management was one of them. So Eric picked up the reins. We all got together and said, we got to get it over the finish line. So that's how we wound up in front of you today. I think the fact that we have 10 recommendations as a first-time agency, we're really proud of. You know, we looked at everything. When we came across something that needed to get fixed, we didn't want to write to how we were going to fix it. We wanted to fix it before we got in front of you. So I think the fact that there's 10 is a testament that we took the process serious, and you know, this is our model going forward. So with that, I'm happy to be here, and I look forward to your questions.
Thanks very much, Chief, and thanks for explaining that tortuous journey you've traveled to be here today, but we're really glad that you are here today. So let's start with questions from Commission. Chief Dirksen, would you like to go first?
Sure, absolutely. Well, congratulations for being at the table, and thanks for sticking with it through all the things and moving forward. So we're glad to see you here, and glad to see a good amount of support as well within your department and with your surrounding agencies and your board as well. My question goes to performance indicator 2D1 and the recommendation to continue to work with the dispatch center. So I'm glad the dispatch director's there with the figuring out your call processing time. First of all, did you guys notice that there was an issue with your call processing time before the team got there, or was that something that happened as the team started diving into your data?
We knew it was a problem, and the workaround, the fix that we were working with before the team got here is every high risk call, a structure fire, the dispatch center is playing back tapes and actually marking the times, and we're using an Excel spreadsheet. Unfortunately, there is, let me back up, our CAD system is kind of out of control. It's a county thing. Currently in our county, there's 2 accredited agencies, with us standing before you as possibly the 3rd. Us trying to get that message out that number is important to catch is hard for some people to understand. But now that drum beat's getting a little louder. So we have since gotten another fix from the dispatch center where our dispatchers can push a set of keys to try to capture those times. Again, not a perfect system because they forget to push the key. So we're in the process now of finding an automatic permanent way of actually picking up that time from our, when they actually pick up the phone. So.
Are you working with your vendor then to find the fix there, or?
Yes, we are. So right now we're working with all our DuPage County chiefs that make up all the chiefs in our county that are under this new CAD. The CAD's only a couple years old. So there is possibly automated ways of doing this through our CAD vendor, but that's going to require the buy-in of the NTSB in our county and all our other chiefs, because obviously there's probably going to be a cost involved. But I think really over even just the last few weeks, this has been a topic of discussion, and I think everybody understands the importance of it, whether you're accredited or not. And I think we're starting to see some movement finally on that. So.
And then just one last follow-up question with that is, that you've identified this, how are you conveying that to your community that you need this? If you're talking money's needed to fix this and you're not able to have the best data, are you using that in a report to your city or your board?
Yes. Yes, we are. So we're really tackling now. Our board gets it. Our constituents get it here. It's really the task is bringing it to the county and showing it. If the cost comes, it's going to probably be a county expense. And then it would trickle down to the individual fire departments. So that's where we're kind of tackling that now is getting to the department heads of all the other fire departments and the county. That's where the cost is going to come. As far as them then going to their taxpayers and try to explain to them, we have not gotten that far yet. So.
No, that's great. At least you're bringing it to the people that control the purse strings, so yes. They can maybe help you get there.
Hopefully.
Good report. Thanks.
Yeah, and Commissioner add in there that they were working on that. They were working on that issue prior to us, and they actually brought it up to us in a way. So.
Thanks for that, Ken. That's helpful. Chief Keating, are you ready to go?
Chief Dirksen did a beautiful job of asking my question. It was all my questions were around the issues with the comm center, but I do want to make a comment. Chief, you need to be proud of your organization. And to the peer team lead and to the peer team, this was an excellent report. And reading this report tells me that over the years, and you've now told us a little bit about the history and how you've used the accreditation model to construct what looks to me like you have an outstanding organization, a very solid organization. Some of the things that you have underway right now, as far as technology and implementing technology to take care of a lot of the little issues that were brought up, and there were a lot of small issues brought up in your accreditation report, like frequency of facility inspections and things like that. And the technology that you're now implementing, learning how to use to make the organization better and serve your community better are absolutely excellent. So congratulations on a great organization. Stay with accreditation and it will serve you well in the future.
Thank you.
Thanks for those wise words, Chief Keating. Ken Holland, you have a question, I think.
I do, thank you. And it's kind of a two-part. It's geared towards recommendation 9, which is on 7B10, and it was kind of touched upon in the chief's opening statement with regards to succession planning and the importance of that. So I just want to give an opportunity to maybe further expand upon on that statement and what kind of a succession planning you have in place. One, obviously, for the accreditation process moving forward, and then also within the other roles within the organization, in terms of officers' positions and whatnot. And then my other question also is looking at the report says that there's a deputy chief that's assigned to the health, safety, and training division. I was wondering, is that deputy chief, are they credentialed as a health and safety officer, or as an incident safety officer? Is that another opportunity moving forward with, so that individual could get that training through the organization?
Yes, so we actually made some changes. So the deputy chief's position, we used to have 2 deputy chiefs, and we only have 1 now. So our health training, safety, and compliance officers are actually a Battalion Chief Mansfield. So he is certified and everything you need to be certified in those areas related to training, health, safety, and compliance. We do have succession for that in place with the same level of training as him. And then as far as our succession planning in the rest of the department, we had bits and pieces. Ironically, shortly after our team left our site visit, we were hit with a medical emergency that took out one of our key players, our executive administrative assistant. And we did have some things in place, but not to the level we should have. So this just amplifies that we need to do a better job on that. And that's something that we knew prior to the team coming. And now, like I said, we were hit with that unexpected medical emergencies. It's going to take a key member of our organization out for a while. And to be honest with you too, we have not done a good job with succession planning on the chief's level. And that's, to be honest, was really because of accreditation. Our goal was to get this done, and Deputy Chief Kramer would be my replacement. And I've been trying to hold back. I did not want to burden him with other things. He was working on records management and getting us to the finish line of accreditation. Now that that's complete, the stuff we have in place, at least in writing, we're actually going to put into practice now and, have it in place. So hopefully that answers your question.
It does, great, and thank you. And it's sometimes, will something negative happen, to try to look at that and try to make it into a positive, use it as an opportunity. And I think it sounds like that's exactly what your organization has done, and I commend you on that. And this is a process now. Assuming you get accredited today, there's as you've experienced it over the past 9 years, it's been a long process, and there's a lot more to come. And I would just encourage you to, now that you're at this certain point, that you continue to, build on that team moving forward for, good succession planning. But thank you. You did answer my question, and thank you.
Thanks, Ken. I have a kind of a comment and a question. I think the question is a follow-up to the comment. I don't recall ever seeing more aggressive benchmark numbers for an ERF in the fire area. You're at 8 minutes. Aside from maybe some DoD agencies who always seem to have very aggressive benchmarks, and that's great. You're meeting those certainly in the moderate and the high risk, or very close in the high risk. What caught my eye though was in the maximum risk, recognizing it's a pretty small data set of 29 calls. There's a significant variance between the benchmark and the baseline. You have a gap of nearly 45 minutes, and I'm just wondering. I'm not sure if this is a question for the team lead or for the chief, just in terms of what do you make of that? How do you deal with that, or do you consider that just to be a factor of a very small data set?
Well, besides the small data set, there is a couple other things that came into play. So looking at the basically 5 years of data, a little more than half of that, there was multiple CAD systems in our county. So when we were trying to assemble the companies that were needed on a structure fire, the data was not meshing, if you will, between the different CAD systems. And then we also had multiple ways of alerting fire stations in the county. That has since been reduced down to one way. We have a county alerting system now. So when we need those outside resources to make our numbers for a structure fire, it's automatic now. So our neighbors to the north, when we get a structure fire, when our personnel are getting that alert, they're getting the alert at the same time. All the data now is going into one CAD system. And then additionally, like I think you alluded to too, we did not have an outlier policy. So we were capturing all of those numbers, and there was some stuff in there that frankly, if we were to do it again today, would probably be tossed out because it wouldn't have applied, or we'd have a reason to be able to go back, look in the data and say, hey, this should have been excluded. So.
Mr. Chairman, I could say, yeah, we looked at that. We looked at their data pretty thoroughly on a couple of those. And that's what we came to the conclusion that it was that combination of one, it was a pretty small set. So there were a couple of calls that probably would have been thrown out with an outlier policy. Decided to go ahead and keep that in, and the agency agreed with that because we didn't have the policy in place. But they did identify those calls and almost to the specific, and decided to leave that in, and along with the outlier policy recommendation. So I think it was more of a reflection of a very small number. And so a couple of calls that would have been normally probably removed from that were in the set and really kind of skewed it.
Okay, yeah, no, it just caught my eye, like I say, in terms of the degree of variance, plus just that an extremely aggressive baseline, particularly for maximum risk. That's at 8 minutes. I struggle to get a first unit on scene sometimes in 8 minutes, let alone a maximum risk ERF. So anyway, outside of that, I'll leave that be. Thank you for the explanation, Chief and Ken. I appreciate that. I don't see any further questions from commission. So again, please don't take my question as anything more than just that, a question and a comment. Excellent report. I echo all the comments made by Ken and Chief Keating and others. I'd ask for a motion to approve. Addison.
Keating, motion.
Thank you, Chief Keating. A second.
Rhodes, a second.
Jake, Chief Rhodes, I heard second for sure. Any further discussion on Addison Fire Protection District? Not hearing any. Any opposed? Congratulations, Addison Fire Protection District number 3. Great job, great report. Look forward to seeing you back in the future for future accreditations. You've done a great job. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone, for your time. We're very happy. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, and then Dubuque Fire Department, Iowa.
All in and connecting right now.
Super. Thank you. Morning, Bill.
Morning.
Good morning, Dubuque. Or afternoon.
Afternoon. Afternoon.
Hi.
All right, Chief, I think everybody's in. It's all yours.
Thanks, Carl. I appreciate that. Good morning, Dubuque Fire Department, Dubuque, Iowa. First accreditation. Great to see you. And without further ado, I'll maybe hand over to Team Leader Bill Stark to start the introductions. Go ahead, Bill.
Okay, good morning, commissioners, or afternoon. I served as team leader for Dubuque, Iowa, and we visited them in July of this year. With that, the team had recommended accreditation, obviously. I want to recognize the team, Leonard Chan from Houston, Texas, Chad Fitzgerald from Clovis, California, and Tim Jensen from Liberty Township, Ohio. I'll just make my comments brief. You've got the report. The thing that I want to tell you about Dubuque and that I think is important for me is they probably, in all the site visits I've done, have done the most to reinvent themselves and to struggle through a journey that's been sort of like Addison, many years, 7 years, I believe. And I think they've probably we looked at some archive policies, and you can see they've made so many changes to get to where they are. And I think that was a key piece of why we recommended them. We also wanted to point out that the city manager, when we did our initial briefing, was a very strong supporter of accreditation. And so we thought that was important. You'll see we made a large number of recommendations, most of them focused on improving things that they're doing. I was able to visit with the agency last week, and I'm confident they can answer all the questions that you have. And so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to the chief and let him introduce his team.
Thank you, Bill. My name is Rick Steinis. I'm the fire chief of Dubuque, Iowa. I'd like to introduce portions of my team that are here today as well. First off, our city manager to my left, Michael Van Milligan, is here. I also have my lead accreditation manager, Assistant Chief Kevin Esser, to my right. Farther down to the right, the assistant accreditation manager, Assistant Chief Josh Napper. And in the back, you'll see our Assistant Chief of Operations, one of them, Mark Ludescher, and our EMS coordinator and supervisor, Sam Janicki, are here today as well. I'd just like to start out by thanking the commission for allowing us to sit before them today. As Bill mentioned, it's been a long journey for us and a goal for the fire department for quite a while. So we're happy to be at this point and hopefully moving forward. I would also like to thank Bill and his assessment team. When they were into Dubuque, it was actually, a little bit nerve wracking, of course, but it was also an enjoyable experience. The team was very likable. We had very good conversations with them, and I personally enjoyed the experience. I thought that was very positive. I'd also like to thank both Kevin and Josh, who worked over the years as accreditation manager or assistant manager, various positions, like Bill said, helping us work through all the changes that we made. We started out, for instance, having to create ways to collect data. We needed to show data, and we didn't have good systems in place to do that. And so we basically worked through that process, and like Bill said, did a lot of work just to get to the point where we could collect the number of years of data that we needed to show. So that was a long journey. I also want to thank the city manager, Mike Van Milligan, for his support, not only in his office, but all the departments of the city who have been very supportive in our efforts to achieve accreditation. And then finally, last but not least, all the personnel in the Dubuque Fire Department, because this really was a joint effort by everyone. And we talked about that when we started the journey, and we said it will touch everything we do. It will affect everybody on the department. Everybody will have something to do with accreditation. And I'll just close with, making the comment that one of the things that I see is people say, well, what are you going to get when you're accredited? And I thought about that quite a bit. And my answer now is, it's not what you get, it's what you become. Because you don't get accredited, you become accredited. And as an accredited agency, I think it builds that culture of improvement. And that's really what we strive for here. So we're hoping to be successful today. And if you'd allow me a few minutes, I'd like to turn it over to our city manager, Mike Van Milligan, for comments.
Is that all right, Mr. Chair?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much. The city of Dubuque greatly appreciates your consideration of our application for fire department accreditation. This positive recommendation from the assessment team site visit is the culmination of over 5 years of work in preparation for this day. I want to especially recognize the work of Fire Chief Rick Steinis, Lead Accreditation Manager, Assistant Fire Chief Kevin Esser, and former Accreditation Manager and current Assistant Accreditation Manager, Assistant Chief Josh Nepper. We are very proud of our fire department and the people who work in the department protecting property and lives every day. This was never more apparent and appreciated than during the COVID-19 pandemic. There is no working from home for our brave firefighters and medical officers. As people were isolating, social distancing, and masking up, these were the people who were there when tragedy struck. At the same time, many of them were dealing with the traumas of this pandemic in their personal lives. We owe all of them a deep debt of gratitude that they chose public service as a career and that they do their work so well and with such compassion. The Dubuque Fire Department has an ISO rating as a Class 2, placing the department in the top 3% in the country. Since 2017, the Dubuque Fire Department has been an annual recipient of the American Heart Association's Mission Lifeline Award for Excellence in Emergency Care, and in 2021 also received the Award for Excellence in the Treatment of Heart Attacks. Each year, over 300 business chief executive officers in the Dubuque area are interviewed by the Greater Dubuque Development Corporation on satisfaction with city services. And the fire department consistently receives an average score of over 6 on a scale of 1 to 7, receiving a 90% satisfaction rating in the most recent survey, with the fire department in general being the highest rated city service and the ambulance service being the second highest rated city service in those interviews. We know we are not perfect, and we commit to improving in the areas identified by the assessment team. Thank you for your personal service to this important process, and thank you for consideration of our application.
Thank you, City Manager Van Milligan and Chief. Certainly very apparent, a lot of hard work has gone into this. So I'd just like to make one comment before I ask, well, we start with questions from Commission, just recognizing that you've received and installed a self-contained breathing apparatus washer unit, which shows a good level of commitment to safety of your members. So congrats for that as well. Without further ado, though, let's go to Jesse for first question.
Good afternoon. I'd like to thank the city manager for his involvement in this process. I've known Mike for years, and I can attest to his dedication to Dubuque. My question centers around category 2, and I'd like to hear where you are with your station location study and what your plans are to accomplish that.
As you saw in our report, in 2006, there was a study done on station expansion or relocation and staffing. That study is targeted now in our budget process for FY23. So at July 1st, next summer, to be updated because we know that a lot of the demographics have changed. A lot of things have changed in the city in the past 15 or so years since that study was completed. And so the plan right now is we have a 5-year capital improvement program in our budget, which reaches out in FY23 to establish an update of that study. And then in FY25, design and site prep for a fire station, if it's recommended in the study, of course, most likely on the western end of the city. And then in FY26, the construction of that station. At the time, it also includes provisions for expanding our staffing to be able to staff such a station. The intention there is that if it's an expansion, it would be an additional at least 1 engine company and 1 ambulance. And so we're looking at building up that staffing. So far to date, we have added 2 positions in the last 2.5 years through that process. And so we hope to, we had a little bit of a hiccup during COVID where we were unable to fill one of those positions in our regular schedule. So we're looking to do some catch up with that. But well, I think we're on track for meeting those targets. And that's all part of our budgeting process through capital improvement.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Jesse. Chief Dirksen.
Yeah, good afternoon, Dubuque. Glad to see you at the table. Thanks for coming through the process and working through continuous improvement for your fire department. My question actually ties around two performance indicators, 2D1 and 9B5, which have to deal with your communications center and some of the issues that you're having assessing your call processing time. Understanding that the communication center might be out of your purview and being able to change things. What's the relationship that you have with your county communication center to help affect any change there?
So our communication center is a countywide operation. It's actually operated by the city as a city department. It does have a separate department manager. That department manager is actually a former lieutenant with our fire department. So he does understand that operation and our operation quite well. And he is aware of the issues around, the importance especially of call handling times from the dispatch and how it fits into our total response time. One of the issues that we've identified is quality assurance. And I think that's one of the things that were pointed out in the recommendation was at this point, I believe that much of the call handling issues surround training and quality assurance, which right now, staffing wise, it seems like they're not able to get done at the 911 center. And so some of that is going by the wayside. So for instance, dispatchers are not allotted the time for review of their calls so that they can get better and perform a better job for not only us, but countywide to improve the system. I think that the manager at the center has started to budget and do some requests around quality assurance, including the idea of adding a third-party vendor to provide some of that quality assurance, and the fire department supports that as much as we can. Again, we are not directly involved with the operation, but we are part of the 911 Safety Committee, which I sit on the board, and we are always talking about how we're going to improve those call handling. So we have done a few things. Over the years, we added automatic alerting through the dispatch center, which did cut down the call handling times by about 30 seconds, which was a huge improvement a couple of years ago. And so we are on track, I think, to try to keep supporting 911 center in their quality assurance to get those call handling times down.
Does your software allow for the analysis of the call processing time that you could at least share that data with the center if they don't have the people to analyze it, that you could at least share the data and they can maybe talk about it at staff meetings and implement policies or things like that?
One of the things we implemented about a year and a half ago is we added call handling times and dispatch call handling time to our monthly reports that we review at our command staff meetings each month. And we actually submit a list of call handling times that we have flagged each month to the 911 manager for him to review specifically. And so essentially, we are providing some quality assurance, a quality check to his department from our side of the data. And so we're trying to do what we can to point out to him, here are some calls each month that we have flagged because they were long. Can you send us feedback? And then he does as he has time. That's been a little bit sporadic, but he usually responds to us then, here's what happened on that particular call and why it was long. But it's a very small number of the total number of calls, obviously.
No, I appreciate that. And I'm glad you're taking the steps that you can to at least make them aware where you have those longer times. So you're doing your part, and working with that third party is always a little bit difficult. So good report.
Thanks, Chief Dirksen. Chief Rhodes.
Thank you. And I'd echo what Steve just said. It is a really good report. But I want to jump to category 7, your wellness fitness program. I see in there that despite efforts, budget requests and grant applications, you don't have necessary funding to do annual physicals. So I guess I'd go with where we're going with that and our wellness fitness initiatives. But also, what's your participation? Is it mandatory for all members? And what's the relationship with your local and getting this to be a mandatory process for all members? Or is it already?
So we've had very good luck with buy-in, I think, from the membership, union representation as well. We've worked with union representation to create the improvement request in the budget for this wellness fitness initiative. It includes things like biometrics and fluid sampling and performance evaluation pieces designed around fire service on an annual basis. So it goes above some of the basic things that we've done. We think it's important for the improvement in the health of the membership in general. And I think that in the long run, it will also benefit, obviously, financially the city with reduced injuries, which we all want to see, and improvements in performance of the individual. So we are set now in our budget process. We're going to go back and resubmit that particular improvement package. As you might guess, it has some budget issues around it. It's a recurring cost because it comes back every year. So it needs to have a little more consideration, but it's one of the things we want to do, and it builds on the things we've already done. So we already mandate a daily fitness training for personnel. We have peer fitness trainers, as you probably saw in the report. We're trying to expand on the number of those that are available to our membership as well. And we're getting the peer fitness trainers more involved in some of the ongoing day-to-day activities of our membership. We also were beneficial in an AFG grant a few years ago, and we were able to provide in all 6 of our fire stations weight equipment, free weights, exercise bike and treadmills, and some other equipment. So every station is equipped that way. Every station has the same equipment across the board. So we've been beneficial that way, and we'll continue those efforts.
I appreciate that, and good luck on your budget. Hopefully, city manager, we can recommend that one of the most important programs out there. So, and I understand the restrictions as we all face them, but probably one of the most important programs that we have. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief Rhodes. I'm not seeing any other questions from commission unless anyone else has anything to bring forward. Great report. I would echo all that's been said again. Not seeing any more questions from commission. Can I, excuse me, can I ask for a motion to approve Dubuque, Iowa?
I'll make that. Ooh, go ahead, Jesse.
Okay, I heard Jesse making the motion. I think Steve Dirks, and I heard you as well, maybe second.
I think it was Jake.
Okay, Jake, Chief Rhodes then to second. Perfect, thank you. I appreciate that. Any further discussion on Dubuque, Iowa? Not hearing any. Any opposed? Not hearing any. Congratulations, Dubuque Fire Department, Dubuque, Illinois, Iowa, I beg your pardon. First accreditation. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And we'll make arrangements to get your plaque to you. And congratulations as well to the lady who's just put her head in the door. That's good to see you too. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care.
All right, I'm showing 1341, say what, 10 minutes, 15 minutes? What works best?
Could we get back together at like 11:50 and just power through? Give us like 9 minutes to grab a bio break and a coffee or a tea. Would that work? We can take longer.
Works for me.
Okay.
Right. See you in a few.
Motion approved.
You're not supposed to be on yet.
I am. Can you hear me?
Huh? Who are you?
No, can you hear me, Steve?
Yes, I hear you. I'm just messing with you.
That's all. I'm onto your tricks, Buster.
Yeah, most people are.
Interesting questions. Good ones.
Good questions.
Yeah. Ken Horn did it. Was excellent.
He did. He jumped right in.
Yeah.
Nicely.
I sent him a quick note thanking.
Steve, everything good in the great up north?
Yeah, pretty much. We've got a municipal election next Monday, so there's lots of politics going on, to say the least. But other than that, it's it's been good. We're sliding into winter, as I said earlier, but gently so far. So
good.
Let's keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah, no doubt.
Are we ready?
I don't quite have everybody back yet. Hey, Sal, didn't they teach you guys in kindergarten you can't eat unless you bring something for everybody? It's kind of hard to do that in a virtual environment though, right?
I could pretend I'm passing things out.
There you go.
That could be misconstrued as doing something else too, like we're
Yeah.
playing card games or something.
I don't know. You guys didn't get Sal sent stuff to us for me for lunch. I don't know.
Well, you know, that's because you had the better Halloween mask. All right, Katie, I think we're all set to go.
All right, Beverly Hills, you all on?
Outstanding. Good morning, Beverly Hills. How we doing?
Good morning, sir.
All right, I think that's everyone. Thank you.
Everybody's in?
Yep.
All right. Chief Dongworth, all yours.
Thanks, Carl. I appreciate that. Welcome, Beverly Hills, California, to your accreditation hearing, your first accreditation. Congratulations. Without further ado, I'll hand over to the illustrious Steve Olson to start the introductions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the commission, it's my honor to present the Beverly Hills Fire Department for your consideration. First, though, I want to recognize and thank the peer team, which was comprised of Assistant Chief Tim Binfett of the Fargo, North Dakota Fire Department, recently retired Chief Tom DeMint of the Poudre Fire Authority in Fort Collins, Colorado, and Division Chief Doug Hannon of the Hutchinson, Kansas Fire Department,
a department which the commission recently accredited earlier this year. Their professional dedication and expertise were critical throughout the review of the agency documents, the in-person site visit, and the development of the report before you today. I also want to thank Chief Greg Barton, Assistant Chief Joe Mosh, Accreditation Manager Michael Lyonson, and EMS Administrator Sean Stokes, as well as the rest of the command staff. Their passion for the organization, gracious hospitality, quick response to questions from the team, and readiness to address identified issues, and the flexibility served to make this a smooth site visit. At approximately 5.5 square miles, Beverly Hills is truly a unique community. It has long been involved in the entertainment industry, and as we all know, it enjoys a great degree of name recognition. It has a vibrant downtown area, engaged residents, and homes with gated driveways and substantial landscape to screen them from the street. An operational example of how this agency is impacted by the community and what they deal with is that they annually manage to up to and including 230 special events ranging from the Golden Globe Awards, the Los Angeles Marathon, to private religious functions, all requiring special assignments, things that you would see in much larger departments, and they manage this on an annual basis. The peer team has verified the agency is credible in all core competencies and validated the response data is accurate and reliable. The report before you contains 14 recommendations developed by the team from the verification and validation process that started with the initial review and carried through to the end of the site visit. We found a forward-leaning organization that is eager to improve and clearly demonstrated that it is willing to commit the resources to be successful. An example of what they've done so far is the Nurse Practitioner Response Unit, which is an alternative to the typical frontline ALS ambulance response model. The program is designed to address low acuity requests for service by addressing the patient issues on site, or if needed, transport them to an appropriate level of care facility. The program is also intended to provide healthcare services to patients in need of assistance, but who have not necessarily called 911 for assistance. Mr. Chairman, it is the consensus recommendation of the peer team that accredited status be considered for the Beverly Hills Fire Department. With that, I'll turn this over to Chief Barton.
Thank you very much, Chief. First and foremost, I'd like to express my deepest gratitude to each one of you. Your thoughtful consideration is truly humbling and very much appreciated. I'd be remiss if I do not mention key members who played significant roles in our agency's accreditation process. To the SIPC team for lending their expertise and for their guidance every step of the way. To the Beverly Hills Fire Department battalion chiefs who run our daily operation and who in turn contributed greatly in the accreditation process. To the men and women of the Beverly Hills Fire Department and civilian fire inspectors for their compassionate and professional service, and who also devoted their time throughout this process. To Deputy Fire Chief Joseph Match, EMS Administrator Sean Stokes, and our Fire Administrator Accreditation Manager Michael J. Leongson, who gave so much of themselves to see this through. And finally, to the City of Beverly Hills City Council members, the City Manager's Office, City staff, and community members who have provided their longstanding and unwavering support. And again, thank you to everyone involved. This is our legacy, a testament to our department's members' commitment and passionate quest for excellence in the fire service and to the community in which they serve. To put in perspective, the BHFD accreditation team logged thousands of hours in preparing all required documents to include addressing assessment-related injuries and peer team review action items. Aside from its intrinsic values, the accreditation process provides for greater community alignment, improved data-driven decision-making, and effectively paves the way towards continuous quality improvement and excellence. Collectively, the team worked diligently and collaboratively with the community and the city stakeholders in creating our self-assessment manual, community risk assessment, standards of cover, and community-driven strategic plan documents. As a fire chief, I am proud of what we have accomplished and for what we are about to accomplish. Our department has withstood numerous challenges and constant evolutionary changes in the fire service. Through it all, we remained in solidarity, steadfast with our mission and values, and progressive with our goals, objectives, and services. And here we are 3 years later. In closing, please allow me to personally express my heartfelt admiration to the CFAI Commission. Thank you very much for constructing an accreditation model for all fire departments to emulate, and for this remarkable journey which allowed us in Beverly Hills to continuously improve and excel while being accountable and staying transparent to our members and to the entire city of Beverly Hills community. This is the ultimate embodiment of public service, and for this, I will always be grateful. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chief Barton, as well as Steve Olson for those introductions. And again, congratulations on a great report. Not many recommendations. The first time. Also acknowledge your ISO Class 1. With that, though, let's hand over to Chief Dirksen for the first question, please.
Yes, good morning and congratulations for being at the table. You hosted one of my assistant chiefs there as one of your peer assessors, so I have the inside baseball story here. No tough questions really, but I do want to echo Steve Olson's comment on the innovative practices with the nurse practitioner. That's one thing that stood out to me, and one of the things that Assistant Chief Binfoot reported to me as one of the best practices. That's good. So congratulations on that, and thanks for the work there. My question goes though to there's multiple it's the same recommendation for multiple areas regarding ensuring you have the administrative staff. The report indicates that there were some vacancies that have been there for a while, and then to support some of the other programs that you wish to have there. How long have some of those vacancies been there, and what is the plan going forward to fill those vacancies?
Thank you very much for that question, sir. So our system integrator position that was assigned to the fire department, we had that position in place for about 5 years, and the member who was there did such a great job. He actually is a firefighter for us now. So in our mind, we're getting a double whammy here, because we have him with our fire department as a firefighter, and we're still in the process of hiring a system integrator. With COVID and the downturn of the economy, some positions were put on the back burner. This is actually being brought forward. So there is a process that we're looking for to open this up probably in the next 6 months. The way we're going, we just had to get in line with other positions in the city as they opened up. The other position is our deputy fire marshal. So when COVID hit the city of Beverly Hills, they came up with a golden handshake program where they would allow certain civilian positions to receive 2 years of service credit. Our deputy fire marshal at the time took advantage of that. And in order to get the benefit of that person taking it, it's about a 2-year process before we can fill that position. But the city has already stated that they will fill that position at the end of the 2 years. It's only been, he left in January of this year, so we still have another year to fill that. And so that is in the works to be done. It's on the list to be hired here or to be filled in the near future.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Chief Keating, are you ready to go?
I'm ready, and congratulations to Beverly Hills for going through the immense amount of work to get where you are today. And I'm sure that it will prove great value going down the road as you continue to build your organization and serve your community. My question comes out of category 7, and it deals with annual physicals for your operational staff. While you do quite a bit of obviously some medical evaluation and fit testing, so on and so forth, it does appear that you do not do an annual complete physical for your operations staff. Have you put some focus on that and are trying to locate funding and move that program forward?
Thank you very much, sir. Yes, we are. So we are in the process right now of trying to determine and develop a program, an annual fitness program for the firefighters. There's a lot of optional stuff that they do. However, we didn't really, at the time, it was just a culture that we did it. So now we're trying to get that all developed, and then also reach out to develop an annual fitness program for the firefighters. It's real important. It's cost savings for the city, and that's the way that I'm selling it to the city management staff as a budget enhancement moving forward.
Good approach, and thank you for paying focus into that.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Chief Keating. Jake, Chief Rhodes.
Well, as Jesse just messaged me, yes, Jim knows where I go with these questions. Chief, good report. I know I'm familiar with a lot of stuff you're doing. Very, very good work. But it is 2021. Mandatory annual physicals. If I can assist with your program or any of us, lots of resources out there. I'll come over and see your city manager as well. Just let me know. Good luck with that. And if I can help, any of us can help in any way on that program, let me know. And thanks, Jesse, for reading my mind. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from commission?
I have another one, Chief, if I can go.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Sure. This one's in regards to performance indicator 9B7. It says in the report that you're hoping to increase the capabilities for your call handling, processing your call handling times. What progress have you made on that? And do you think you'll see some improvement in being able to establish those times and report that back out to your community?
Chief, if you don't mind, I'd like to address that. At this time, we recently did an upgrade in our dispatch center with our CAD system. There are some items that we are still looking to address, and that system was upgraded in February of this year. We are still working out some bugs in that, and we do have some software upgrades to capture those call handling times to be more accurate with that. It is being looked at, and we're hoping to be done in the next few months to have that fine-tuned and have accurate data moving forward.
What kind of work do you have or ability do you have to speak into the dispatch center? I see that it's a city-run dispatch center. So are you able to have some control or work closely with a fellow department head or anything in that?
Absolutely. We do have a close relationship with our men and women in blue. The dispatch center is run out of PD, but we continue to have our training officer as the liaison for the fire department. They're over there, or he is over there on a frequent basis, trying to address the concerns or questions, maybe some data points that needed to be reassessed. So we do have a good working relationship with PD and the dispatch center. Having that liaison with Chief Eccles has been amazing, and we are making headway on that currently.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
I just had a quick question, actually, and maybe better for team leader Steve Olson. Steve, I see there's a recommendation in there to report response time data using the 90th percentile. I'm just curious as to what the data in the report is. Is that at the 90th percentile, or is that measured differently to that?
In the report, it's the 90th percentile, and everything in the CRA was the 90th percentile. That particular recommendation is geared towards a report that the chief and staff developed for communicating information about the department to the city council and the city manager. So they developed it as on average, and when we reviewed it, we said, maybe the recommendation is to move that over the 90th percentile.
Yeah, it just probably makes it simpler as well. But thank you for that clarification, Steve. I think I understood that, but I wasn't exactly sure. I appreciate it. Any other questions from commission or any other comments? Not seeing any. Could I ask for a motion to approve Beverly Hills Fire Department for their first accreditation?
Keating, motion.
Thank you, Chief Keating. A second?
Second, Dirksen.
Thanks, Chief Dirksen. Any further discussion? Beverly Hills Fire Department. Not hearing any. Any opposed? Not hearing any. Congratulations, Beverly Hills Fire Department. Well done. First accreditation. Really solid foundation there without question. And appreciate you jumping into the process with both feet, or process, I guess, with both feet, and coming out with a great report at the end. So fabulous, and we'll make sure we get your plaque to you. And just sorry we can't do that in person. Take care and have a great rest of your day for sure.
Great. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Commission. We appreciate your help.
Thank you.
All right, last one of the day is Savannah Fire Department, Georgia. How you doing, Jason?
Good, sir. How are you?
Good. Nervous?
Nah.
Good. Didn't think you needed to be.
All right, Savannah, are you there?
Just curious, which of the team leaders wants to take the intro, Steve or Jason?
Jason, I'm fine if you want to lead off with it.
Sure.
Thank you.
There they are.
All right, I think you're good.
Good afternoon, Savannah.
Good afternoon.
All right. Chief Dongworth, they're all ready for you.
Thank you very much, Carl. I appreciate it. So welcome, Savannah, Georgia, to the October virtual hearings. You're up for your second accreditation, so you've certainly been around this model for a while. Without further ado, I'm going to hand over to team lead Jason Bonney to start the introductions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon to you all, commissioners. Last on today's agenda, but certainly not least, is Savannah, Georgia, for your consideration. First, I want to recognize and thank the peer team, which was comprised of Chief Steve Olson with the Center for Public Safety Excellence, Deputy Chief Stephanie Halazda of the North Charleston, South Carolina Fire Department and North Charleston Fire Department, South Carolina, Deputy Chief Tom LaBelle of the Henrico County Division of Fire in Virginia. Their professional dedication and expertise were critical throughout the review of the agency documents, interviews with agency staff, and the observations they made while touring the community and the facilities. I also want to thank Chief Derek Menard, Accreditation Manager, Battalion Chief Jack McCutcheon, Assistant Chief William Handy, Deputy Chief Elsie, had that right, Elsie Kitchen, Captain Joshua Holman, and the rest of the Savannah, Georgia Fire Department. To person, they were professional, friendly toward the assessment team, their passion for organization, their generous hospitality, quick responses to the questions from the team, and readiness to address identified issues made this for a very smooth site visit. The peer assessment team started its work with the agency in February of 2021, which was ahead of the submission deadline in March 15th, 2021. The initial review by the team identified areas within the documents that needed further development to meet the expectations of the commission. A 4-month delay for documents was initiated in May of 2021, and the site visit ultimately set for September 2021. Over that time, the agency worked diligently to address the items by the peer team. This was characterized by regular submissions of draft changes, the peer assessment team providing feedback, and a tracking document that was used by both agency and the team to track back and forth changes, which worked out very well for everyone. By the midpoint of the site visit, the team was developing a consensus that this is a credible agency. They know who they are. They know the type and severity of risk in their community. They work daily to mitigate those hazards through their community risk reduction process. and limit consequences to residents when an emergency event occurs. The report before you contains 28 recommendations developed by the peer team through the verification and validation process that started with the initial review and carried through the end of the site visit. Mr. Chairman, it is my recommendation and the recommendation of the peer team that accredited status be considered for the Savannah Fire Department. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Chief Menard.
Good afternoon, Chairman and Commissioners. I'm Derek Menard. I'm the Fire Chief for Savannah Fire. I'd like to introduce the team that is sitting with me before you. To my far right, I have Assistant Chief William Handy, Assistant Chief of Operations, Battalion Chief Jack McCutcheon, who is also our accreditation manager. To my left is Assistant Chief Elsie Kitchen, who oversees logistics. And then to my far left is Engineer Johnny Hinton, who's the president of IAFF Local 574. We would like to thank you for taking the time to review our report and to consider us for reaccreditation. We would like to extend a heartfelt thank you to the peer assessment team that came out to Savannah and spent those 4 days with us. They were led by Steve Olson and Jason Bonney. The entire team is consummate professionals. We would like to thank Mayor Johnson and City Council for backing Savannah Fire in this endeavor. We'd also like to thank our new city manager, Jay Melder. A special thank you to the Savannah Fire Department for pulling this together and having the buy-in to the accreditation process. We also extend a heartfelt thank you to the community. This was a community and internal effort to develop our strategic plan and to develop a path in which Savannah Fire is going to use to go the next 5 years. Savannah Fire has a storied history of excellence. Since it was founded in 1759, Savannah was the first planned city in the United States. Savannah Fire is the first mechanized fire department in the United States. Those who served this community before us had vision, they had foresight, and they set a path for us to follow. In July 2014, Savannah became an ISO 1 class city. With this momentum, Savannah Fire made the decision to pursue accreditation, which was achieved in 2016. Savannah Fire is comprised of 338 dedicated professionals who are committed to organizational improvement and discovering elements of excellence. This process brought some items to light that we were not cognizant of. First, our third-party EMS agency views the western part of our city as rural. Their FAU response philosophy and ours differ. Second, we realized we need to focus on understanding the commodities that flow in and out of the Georgia port. Third, we recognize our differences with our PSAP Center on how call processing times are processed. We will be working together with these units to improve this as well as the rest of the recommendations. Since our peer assessment team left 4 weeks ago, we have gotten to work on the recommendations. We have started a method on item 3C.3 to promote the value and availability of the strategic plan to our staff. We're developing a process for item 4, 3D.3 to engage our employees in viewing the smart sheet data of our strategic goal progress. We will continue to work on all remaining recommendations as well as moving forward to improve ourselves. Our community engagement in developing the strategic plan was remarkable. The buy-in from the firefighters and staff is encouraging, and this process reflects the hard work and dedication it takes to grow a world-class fire department. Chairman, we are ready for your questions.
Thank you very much, Chief. Great introduction. I appreciate that. Without further ado, let's go to Jesse for our first question from Commission.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I have a question about your annexation. So it's talked about in the report that the department's struggling with keeping up with annexations at the rate that they're occurring. Can you give me some insight as to what the motivation is behind the annexations?
Yes, ma'am. So the annexation, so Savannah really has a core downtown, and then we spread to the west on the north side, as well as to the south and out to the west around the south side. The city of Savannah provides water for the entire county, as well as in the other counties. So the city of Savannah is able to provide infrastructure to those in the county and around us. And so it's very attractive to the business that is coming into our city. The other city services that are provided by police and fire are also attractive to these businesses when they come in. The city's philosophy with the annexation, we're contiguous around the south, and we do have areas that we need to improve in adding resources to be able to meet response times and other city services, just not fire. And so the goal is to continue to grow Savannah in these areas, which is going to allow for more business, more growth, more development. And Savannah is the third busiest port in the entire country. So we have business that is flocking here to be a part of it. And so this annexation allows that to get the city services that they desire.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Jesse. Let's go with Chief Rhodes.
I'm going to go to 3C3, where it talks about the use of smart sheets, but more importantly, the engagement awareness of your strategic plan, goals, and objectives among line personnel. Obviously, this being your second time around, strategic planning, more than a project into a process, but what's your plan for engagement awareness among even your newest firefighters to introduce and make sure they're aware of this plan and know what is happening in the organization?
I'll answer that question, Chief Kitchen. So on the front end of that question, we did have firefighters engage and help us with the development of the strategic plan. With Smart Sheets, we're able to show the strategic plan in its entirety. So what we did was have the strategic plan and each objective assigned to a chief officer. That chief officer is responsible for providing information. Right now, we do it on a quarterly basis. So that quarterly basis, that information is updated to whatever the strategic objective is. And then now, since we went through accreditation, we know we need to publicize that information more. So what we're doing is creating an IB. Anytime that information is updated, it is sent out to the staff so they can see the updated information. And in that same Smart Sheets, they can inquire or ask any questions related to that objective.
Yes, that was my other part. Is there any opportunity for interaction, questions, and things like that? So you answered it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chief Rhodes. Let's go with Chief Dirksen.
Good afternoon, Savannah. Congratulations for being at the table a second time. A good report. Congratulations, Jason, on becoming a newly minted team leader as well. Great work there in Savannah. So I'm just going to take an opportunity to address a question to Jason regarding the program appraisals. We have several recommendations based on the program appraisals. What did you see in how they were appraising their programs that drew you to this recommendation?
Yeah, thank you, sir. So the program appraisals were accomplished. They do them. However, they were fairly boilerplate. And as we met with the various program managers, we found out that they were already wanting to improve them and make them more robust and more detailed. And so in an effort to bolster that and make sure they continue with it, we decided to make those recommendations to have a more enhanced and deepened program appraisal process.
Great answer. So, and you found what they were appraising was credible?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Chief Dirksen. Let's go with Chief Keating.
Congratulations on a very, very well done report. Reading through it really gives us a good vision of what your agency looks like, and thanks for staying with it, working through it to go with the second round. I'm certain that you're seeing the benefits of accreditation every day in your agency. My question is in category 5 under EMS. It's obvious that EMS is something very new to your organization, and you're just beginning to really get your feet wet into it and having the opportunity to provide that type of service to your community. There were 2 recommendations in that category 5F under EMS, and one of them dealt obviously with being able to track what's going on with your transport provider, your third-party transport provider, and meeting number 1, state mandated numbers, and 2, are in your mind, are they fulfilling the need of being there when you really feel they should be there to provide the adequate service? And then the other recommendation under the category was the documentation, a better way of documenting exactly the type of incidents that you're responding to and what you're finding, just to be able to better build the EMS portion of your organization going forward. And probably third, do you have a good relationship with your transport provider to be able to enhance and then grow these working relationships?
Thank you. I'm going to hit the last one about our relationship. We have a great relationship. We meet monthly with the local medical provider in our area. We meet with them monthly to discuss how to enhance the program. We did expand this program newly from access with injury calls to 8 critical call types in December of 2020. So we're still cultivating that information, and we're looking forward to completion of this year to be able to evaluate that and get a better understanding of our improvements that we need to do and improving our working relationship with that company. The call types, enhancing that is training with our personnel. We have a medical service officer with 3 health and safety officers assigned, 1 assigned per shift, and they work diligently with crews, and we're going to come out with a more robust training program for all of our personnel and making sure the documentation is correct.
Excellent. Great to hear that. It's obviously that you're going about it the right way to build your organization into providing that service to your community. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief Keating. I just have a quick question here. I just looking through criteria 5 in terms of your ERF, and certainly with your fire and EMS adequately covered, obviously, which suggests always that positioning of your resources for your medical calls as well as for your conventional kind of fire calls, if you like, your engine companies, your ladder companies, and things like that. When we get down to the tech rescue and the hazmat and the marine, they start to get a bit more stressed. And I'm assuming that's because of maybe 2 things. The first of which is relatively small data set, but also you've got limited resources specialized for those kinds of calls in your municipality, and the time for them to arrive on scene, I'm assuming they're part of the ERF. Just wondering if you have any comments on that, either Jason or the chief.
Yes, sir. I can address that. Yeah, you really hit the nail on the head with that, with the amount of calls. Now, one thing with Savannah is that we're such a diverse city because we're not only we're a port city, but we have a lot of industry as well. So we're dealing with the marine program, we're dealing with the tech rescue, we're the hazmat for the entire county, with the chemical plants, the oil, the paper, and so forth. So we do have a lot around this area, and a lot of it is not in our jurisdiction. We have an industrial zone that we cover as well, and that's through an agreement and a subscription, if you will. So when we do that, our response times can be longer because they're not inside the city of Savannah. And so that does contribute to the longer ERF for getting everybody on scene. One of the things that we do, that we have a retreat coming up in December, and we'll be taking a look at that data, with our rescues, with our truck companies, with the people that are involved in their TRT. And then we are also going to be meeting with the county soon as well. This was brought up through our budget meeting with to look at our hazmat team and response, and just trying to make it more robust in the countywide response. So that does the fact that we cover so much.
No, thank you for that, Chief. I appreciate that, and of course my assumption is, and I'm confident this is the case. Obviously, we found you to be credible and meeting all the core competencies, which is fine. I'm not challenging those at all. Just interesting when I see the numbers varying that much from your more conventional kind of call volume to your more technical rescue programs, and I use that more globally than just your technical rescue programs. Usually it's about the limited resources or staffing, specialized staffing that make up that ERF as compared to some of your other ERFs. Great, thank you. I'm just seeing, I don't think I have any other questions from Commission, in which case I'd certainly entertain a motion to approve Savannah, Georgia for their second accreditation.
So move, Dirksen.
Thanks, Chief Dirksen. Can I get a second?
Second, Road. Ooh.
Sorry.
Sorry.
I think I heard
Yes.
Jake just slightly beat Jesse there. So you should text more often so to sort these things out. No, I'm just kidding. Perfect. So with that, any further discussion on Savannah, Georgia? Not hearing any. Any opposed? Not hearing any either. Congratulations, Savannah, Georgia. Your second accreditation. Great report. Obviously, a very credible and competent fire department committed to continuous improvement. So we very much appreciate that. We'll make arrangements to get your plaque shipped to you. We're sorry. I think that we can't meet you in person as we used to do in the distant past, as I recall. Seems like a long time ago, but yeah, well done and have a great rest of your day for sure. And thank you for your dedication and commitment.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Good job, Jason.
Yeah, solid.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll be seeing you again.
You bet.
All right. Bye-bye.